I really, really hate talking about this. I really do. And this is why we haven't really covered something like this on That Park Place previously. But we have to talk about it because it is becoming an issue. And I think it's a really bad one that is encouraging copycats. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this story right here. This from suggest.com. Fifth person found unalive at Walt Disney World in less than a month. It's by Samantha Whedon here. A fifth person has passed away at a Walt Disney World resort in less than a month, according to the Walt Disney World Active Calls X feed. A person was found down at the theme park's Saratoga Springs Resort at approximately 3:18 p.m. on November 8th. Minutes later, the report was updated with the person down alert changed to unalive person. Okay. This culture, I'm sure you've seen it, and Ron, I'm sure you've seen it. Every single time this happens, we get a litany of news stories and a litany of X posts and a litany of social media posts, sometimes even from influencers, but certainly the news press out there, mainstream media, everybody's going crazy about the unaliving that happens at Walt Disney World. And my thing has always been, look, on property, you have, what, 250,000 people on property at any one time. It's something like, over 150,000 guests and over something like almost 100,000 cast members on property at any one time. Things are going to happen when you're on property. It's just kind of a way of life. But I think highlighting these stories to the extent that some in the press are and some influencers are is doing a disservice, not just to Walt Disney World. I would say it's really not their fault. There's really nothing they can do. They're a high-profile place. These things are going to happen. But because they're giving such media attention to stories like this, I think they are encouraging people to look at the resort as a place to spend their final moments, if you catch my drift. Culture, what do you think about all of this? I don't like covering stuff like this, but it forced my hand. I have to cover this.
I wish everybody go back to the previous coverage moratorium because there is zero upside. People are with us and then not with us, all the time. And it's not, usually done in such a way that, they benefit from the location to be announced. I mean, I would say that one of the worst things that I think could happen is to be unalive, especially in the place that's supposedly the happiest place on earth. Right. I think that this should not be treated with any more reverence or elevated because it'll increase the numbers. And I think that does a disservice to the people who are going there for the genuine reason to go there. So I think that the original instincts by the company way back when in the 70s to not make pronouncements or to elevate the status of people who are unfortunately no longer with us in these locations. I think that was the right gut reaction and we should stick with it. I think that, I don't want to cover this and I won't. And I will just say that, they met their end in one of the worst places you could, in my opinion, because you're bringing down everyone else. So, I'm going to stick with what our press policy is, which is to not throw a lot of flowery words at this and to elevate it. Just say, right. Let's just say, yeah, unfortunately, this person met their end here, and that's it. I don't think that they should get more than that. Just like I don't really think that it's super fair to spread your ashes on a roller coaster with the people riding it. So I don't think that's
and what Culture's pointing out there has been something affiliated with classic Disney dark rides, for example, even Rivers of America, which is not great now, obviously, but obviously our hearts go out to anybody who ended up taking their own life at a place, whether it be Walt Disney World or otherwise. My feeling on it is that to highlight to the degree that the press is, because of the location, I think is journalistic malpractice, at least in my opinion, because
they're responsible.
Yes, I would say so. Ron,
Yeah,
do you have a similar reaction?
The only thing I have to say about it is my condolences to the families and any of the loved ones that are left behind. And honestly, yeah, it's kind of a strange thing that there have been a number of occurrences in a short period of time, but the resort has been open for over 50 years. It sees millions of people on property all the time. And it is notable that before there was a lot of social media out there, these types of things that do occur were, kept quiet for a reason, because when people think of Walt Disney World, they should be thinking of the most magical place on earth as far as what's provided for them when they go on vacation. Simply that, we'll criticize the poor park, the decisions that are poor that leadership makes as far as new creations and replacing classic attractions with lesser attractions and such. But as far as this is concerned, it's somewhat beyond the control of anybody. So, it's not a safety issue. It's nothing to report that way. It is just simply there's millions of people. This happens, and for the families that are left behind, my condolences and prayers.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're talking about theme parks that are attended by millions and millions of people, as Ron beautifully pointed out there, per year, these things are going to happen, and the I mean, I can give you the litany of headlines of like, oh, another person passes away at Walt Disney World and all this kind of stuff, but I'm not going to do that because it, unfortunately, you are kind of putting stuff out there in the tabloids, putting stuff out there in the headlines in order to give your site or your journalistic endeavor more eyeballs and maybe, in your opinion, more credibility. But I'd say that strips you of your credibility because you're essentially profiting off of somebody's loss and tragedy, and that's no good. And the reason I bring this up is because it's become so pervasive. It's become almost unavoidable, especially if you follow the parks as closely as we do, and you have algorithms that feed you this kind of information. Nobody wants to see it, first of all, and I think Texas 84 actually pointed out in the chat, it's happened before, but you just never heard about it. And to Culture's point, I think that was the wisest move, right? It was to not highlight these things, maybe even not report these things that perhaps they shouldn't be. It's really sad, and it's definitely a black stain on what is already a mainstream media press that is not looked at fondly, especially if you look at some polling surrounding the mainstream media and how people feel about it. Don't do this. Please do not do this. We're only producing this content just to put out a plead to the media to say, like, let's stop reporting on these tragedies at Walt Disney World in particular. Yes, it is notable that it happens at a certain location, but these things do happen everywhere in the world. And my biggest fear is somebody being maybe encouraged by what they read in the media.
Yes.
And that is no good. We can't have that as well.
And I think that media outlets, including, I'm going to put myself in this, Media
Please.
outlets, we lack the vocabulary to speak, eloquently or with the level of authority on this, so as not to encourage anyone to consider this as an option in the future, because I don't think enough people, throw up enough, blocking words when it comes to something like this, because somebody that puts that as their ideal, like this is the ideal situation. For the last situation, that I'm going to deal with. And I just don't think that outlets are prepared to have this discussion and to dissuade people strongly enough. And so every time this becomes a point of conversation, somebody goes out there and creates an ideation. And that's the last thing in the world I would want to support or encourage.
Right. Well, it's, our hearts go out to all of the family members affected for all of these recent tragedies. No question about that. And hopefully the mainstream media wakes up to this. Hopefully they change direction. And if you're an influencer doing this, come on, you know better.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.